There
we go. Do not indulge anger, cultivate equanimity. In the realm of the selfless Dharma, not contriving reality for the self is the precept of not indulging anger, not advancing, not retreating, not real, not empty. There is a brilliant sea of clouds. There is a dignified sea of clouds. So, following Domyo, I see this as equanimity versus anger. Equanimity shows up all over the place in Zen and Buddhist teachings. The four Brahma Viharas, the seven factors of enlightenment, the 10 paramitas, all contain equanimity. Equanimity is a good thing. Try for it. The key I see here in this precept is recognition of impermanence. I'm going to talk about impermanence in a minute. There's the selfless Dharma. That would be the Zen thing of reality with a capital R, the selfless Dharma, because you're not creating your own self. That self there. It is a result of past moments of karma, and yet completely separate from the last moment, and it's available to be changed. It's not real, not empty, not advancing, not retreating. It's between all of these things, behind them, under them, is neither inside nor outside in this emptiness. This anger event just happens. It's anatta. This is impermanence, like anicca. I'm going to read something about impermanence here from Kyogen's book on Zen, 1989. He's talking about some other things, but here we go. Each moment of consciousness is regarded as being formed from cause and condition and as being unstable and therefore immediately dissolving. Consider a musical note which does not seem to come from anywhere nor go anywhere. This teaching of being formed and then dissolving indicates the total separation of all moments, each from another. Each moment is new, pure, in and of itself, regardless of what occurred in the previous moment. At times, then, we can feel justified to choose our anger and maybe breaking other precepts too. Kyogen writes, when anger arose, I felt it either had to be my fault or the other guy's. And Nietzsche teaches us that each moment is new and pure and not fundamentally dependent upon the previous moment. Understanding Nietzsche, he says, let me see how to let go of my anger and stop trying to decide who was at fault. It was largely this experience, he says, that taught me the significance of bowing in Zen training. Knowing that each moment is pure helped me to drop right and wrong, self and other, and just bow, thereby remaining in touch with my own peace of mind. It was a dropping of the past with its anger to know the present moment as pure. So I see anger then as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to get angry, or it's an opportunity to bow. The bow towards emptiness does not mean that that anger does not exist, but that it really means that it has no permanent self-nature. It's as solid as a cloud. And I've tied in the other part of the precept there. So there are times for me when I mentally bow in recognition of a rising anger, and I smile, and the thought is something on the order of, oh, I get it, I'm not going to win this argument. It's not going anywhere good. And uh, it can help it, dealing with anger. Uh, it may not get all the way over to equanimity, but it, it can help. And it circles back to the things that I started with, that everything changes and it's impermanent, and we can bow and try to realize that this anger can evaporate like a cloud, and if it doesn't, well, that's what zazen is for. You see where that leads. Look at somebody who exemplifies this not indulging anger, this I'm looking for a word, equanimity. What do you see when you can you imagine looking at somebody who exemplifies equanimity? Can you name anything that you perceive? You've got 6 senses to work on. Do you see anything in this person? Do you hear anything that tips you off that this is an example of equanimity, and maybe something you'd like to try? Don't all speak at once.
Well, Kyogen was pretty equanimous, but he also would sometimes be cranky. So it may be a quality that, isn't there every minute. Probably comes and goes even.
Lean closer to your mic.
Sorry, Shokai. Yeah, I was saying Kyogen was pretty equanimous most of the time, as far as I knew, although I also do him to be a little cranky sometimes. So I found that encouraging. So it might not
Yeah.
be something that somebody, has every minute, right?
We may not encounter equanimity very often.
I've seen my mom be angry exactly once in the entire time I've known her. I don't know a better example of equanimity.
Uh-huh. Good. Yeah.
Very hard to live up to. Very intimidating.
I missed that.
It's very hard to. It can be very intimidating.
Oh, okay. An imperturbable person.
It begs the question of um, if somebody you never see them get angry, they don't have anything bad to say about anybody, etc. Is is that equanimity really?
I like that question. I like that question. Or are they just swallowing it?
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder
Yeah.
because like Kyogen, if he was cranky, he was showing his crankiness. I have a friend that I just think, man, she is the sweetest person I know. And I always kind of question it as like, does she ever get mad at anybody? She's the one that takes cookies to everybody. She cooks for everybody. She shows up at every memorial or sad event. She shows up at every happy event. She's probably just the nicest person I have ever met in my life.
The four Brahma Viharas and all rolled up into one person, and maybe.
Maybe. And it kind of wonders,
But
is she just good at keeping it in here? I don't know.
But isn't that what equanimity is a little bit? Like when, you're cultivating this, I guess, yeah, maybe there's a difference, but the whole idea is to cultivate a way of being in which you don't react to everything that, you know what I mean? Just, well, and anger is a really good example of reacting to something that pops out right in front of you because um, yeah, it's just so it can be so destructive when you are angry,
uh-huh. I recall a sermon title, "Be Angry but Do Not Sin," that I would say might be uh, I'm not going anywhere with that.
You're saying though,
But
I mean, I think yeah, I mean, obviously I'm telling you, like these people that seem like they're very sweet and they get angry. I mean, everybody gets angry. You
yeah,
do. You have
sure.
to. I mean, it's human.
We want to say
Um,
that, right?
but I guess what is the don't indulge anger? I like the word don't indulge anger. Like just if you're experiencing it, don't be tempted by it, don't be pulled in by it
There,
to
there might be something there that don't indulge anger, but
Mm.
don't suppress it either. I mean, uh, recognize it, do something with it. There's plenty of political things I can think of. Would it be an example of use that anger?
Oh yeah, sorry. The Dalai Lama was asked once by a reporter, "Do you ever get angry?" He said, "Oh, of course. When I hear about violence, especially to such innocent people, I get angry, but I don't sit with it. I don't hang on to it." And the earlier example about someone's friend who seems to be there for everybody. I think we live in such a competitive society. I mean, I'm thinking back over not immediately this time, but even back 20, 30 years ago, how when you noticed a person or a couple that seemed to be there for everybody, they kind of stick out because we kind of think, well, gosh, are they for real? And it's so beautiful to know that there are people like that. And I knew a couple like that, and they just would go the extra mile. They were raising 3 children of their own, and someone left a newborn on their doorstep, and people knew that this couple would fight to get that, be able to adopt that baby, and they did, and they went through the court and everything, but people just knew this couple was exemplary. So it's kind of like it's a shame we pause at that, but we need those examples of people in, I think, everyday life.
You're right on. Thank you, Ruth. Yes.
Well,
It's a
the
great
precept.
story.
Sorry, go ahead, Joan.
I was just saying that's a great story,
Yeah.
actually.
It doesn't tell us don't be angry. It doesn't say don't get angry. It just says not to indulge it. So, like, um, you know how little kids can just have these enormous tantrums and then It's like the cloud passes over them, and the next minute they're laughing and everything's fine. It seems like a way they don't indulge the anger, but fully experience it.
That's like that friend of mine. She just, she'll say something and I'll say, well, gosh, did you call him on it? No. And then next thing you know, she's talking about the brownies that are in the oven. It just doesn't, like even the political stuff that's going on. It's, I know it, I know kind of where she stands on the issues, but her focus is so broad with just contributing to her community, the people she loves, etc. She just really just doesn't. Sometimes I look at her and just think nothing phases her at all. But ma- so it kind of just brings that question back: is that equanimity? Gonna have to. It kind of gives you really some food for thought.
The unspoken part here is, what do I want to imitate for me? And imitate it, moving that into practice in the Buddhist sense of practice. And a lot of our practice is imitating the ancestors that we talk about. And that's where our Zazen leads us. Thank you.
So, Muji, it looks like, are, are we moving on?
Well, we certainly can. Who's leading us? What's going on? I don't know. Yeah, if we're all done with the 9th grade precept, we can move on to the 10th. Yeah, there was a pretty good segue there with imitating, but we'll save that for a moment. Our final grave precept: do not defame the 3 treasures. In the realm of the one, holding no concept of ordinary beings and sages, is the precept of not defaming the 3 treasures. To do something by ourselves without copying others is to become an example to the world, and the merit of this becomes the source of all wisdom. Criticize nothing, accept everything. I volunteered for this precept because it's a little bit of an outlier in the grave precepts. It does bring us right back around in a circle to the 3 treasures. So it's kind of like, it kind of sews things up nicely. But once we've gone through 9 grave precepts where we are told not to do something and then to do something, and in the realm of that Dharma, for instance, do not be mean with Dharma and wealth, and then we talk about in the genuine all-pervading Dharma, or do not indulge anger, cultivate equanimity in the realm of the selfless Dharma. We get down to this one and we've got, oh yeah, by the way, remember back at the beginning, just don't defame those 3 treasures. And there's no Dharma here, it's just in the realm of the one. And for me, that was always, kind of woke me back up again. It's kind of like, wait a minute, you broke the pattern. What's going on here? And my first inclination was, okay, I'll go and see what some other groups, other sanghas, have to say about this. And so I went to ZCO, and they say, I vow not to speak ill of the three treasures, but to cherish and uphold them. Yeah, that's okay. That's pretty good. And San Francisco Zen Center says, I vow not to disparage the three treasures. Okay, that sounds like exactly what we've got in ours. And Zen Mountain Monastery leads with experience the intimacy of things. Do not defile the three treasures. Ooh, oh, well, it got me thinking. Experience the intimacy of things. So I went back to ours and I looked at it again. Do not defame the three treasures. Okay. In the realm of the one, holding no concept of ordinary beings and sages, is the precept of not defaming the three treasures. Okay. So to not distinguish between ordinary beings and stages is how I'm going to practice this precept. In the realm of the one. Oh, you mean like in the absolute? Approaching emptiness? Okay. I can warm up to that. And then to carry on, or to go further, to do something by ourselves without copying others is to become an example to the world, and the merit of this becomes the source of all wisdom. And now I'm back in the relative. While the absolute is the realm of the one, within emptiness, there is the relative also, and that's where we're operating. And we are admonished not to copy others, to practice our own practice, and to become an example to the world. How about to share with the world? That is to truly be ourselves, to make without distinguishing between ourselves and sages. That is the merit that becomes the source of all wisdom. To criticize nothing, to accept everything, which brings us back to that dualism of absolute and relative. In the realm of the one, both are held together. A pretty good summation, for the 10 grave precepts. I will admit that I used to include respect the Buddha, unfold the Dharma, and nourish the Sangha within this precept. And after working with this, I don't think that's part of this precept. I think that's just a conclusion to the 16 Bodhisattva precepts. I think our not defaming the three treasures sums up with criticize nothing and accept everything. And to sum this up, I'd like to share an echo that I kept hearing through when I was working with this, and I'm not sure how it fits in, but I can't shake it. When I read this, I'm reminded of the receiver, the giver, and the gift, and the relationship of those three. So there you have it. How does this all land with you?
Really, that was great, Muji. What did you said something, and it just made me think of the one that I talked about, because I kind of immersed myself a little bit in the don't be mean with Dharma or wealth. Um, uh, this idea of the thing that I kind of got from the the one that I did is, I mean, among other things, is this idea of, everybody kind of has their gift to give the world, so don't hide it. Don't like pull back from using that gift. And I kind of feel like it kind of points back to that, this precept a little bit. Use your wisdom of the Dharma. And yeah, I don't know, but yeah.
What I really like here is that it expressly states you have agency. You have as part of the relative, you have agency, and it admonishes us to use it, to go out and do something.
Oh, yeah.
For me, too, also, I always kind of forget about this precept till we do precepts. But and I love that whenever somebody gives a talk on it, I always love it because it really speaks to me. But it kind of, for me, I was, in my past, I was kind of involved in sort of a culty religious experience before. And so this really speaks to me in that way, because it just, to me, it's telling me don't don't be in a cult. I guess that's what it's saying to me personally. But yeah, don't rely on one person for your wisdom, kind of thing. If that makes any sense. I don't know.
But it does. We are encouraged to be a lamp unto ourselves. We often talk about faith and doubt, and it's like doubt is very important in our practice. And so is faith that there is something to know. And it is our practice to do. Not just to take somebody's word for it, not to copy others, not to make distinctions between sages and ordinary people. And we probably would identify ourselves as ordinary people. That being said, don't distinguish between the two. Be a lamp unto yourself. You have agency.
I love that idea of thank you, Muji. That was great. And I love what you said, Mani, about don't be in a cult, because I've often thought about the, to do something by yourself without copying others. And I just think about sesshin, how we're all doing exactly the same thing. And when I was first learning forms, I mean, that's what we do, at least that's what I did, was completely copy everything like as closely as I could. And so sometimes I trip over that line because I the whole precept is mysterious, but that line I've thought, but that's what we do all the time. But that what you said, Mani, it's like in also ties in with ordinary beings and sages. This is like don't be in a cult. That's a great way to summarize that. Yeah.
So form is a good example of how you can fall to one side or another, where when we are in sesshin or just a regular Sunday service, and we are trying to copy others, So suddenly our focus is not on what we are doing. Our focus is on what someone else is doing and trying to integrate that, which, you know, you kind of falling off to the side, where when we are doing forms, we are practicing individually the form together. So when we sit zazen, we're practicing by ourselves in a group.
I'd also like to mention something regarding Keiko's point, which is that you have to know the rules to break the rules. Learn to do it right, then learn to do it your own way.
Absolutely.
And also,
You are only allowed to break rules that you can keep.
and also to mention something Joshin told me once, which is that she could help me find my path, but she couldn't help me walk it because her path would be different than mine. And I think that speaks to a little of what the precept is talking about by don't copy others, is that my path is not going to be the same as yours, and it shouldn't be. I'm different than you. And there's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't criticize anybody else's path. Their path is not yours.
Very true. We can learn from each other without trying to copy each other. Cautionary tales are awesome.
I appreciate how both talks tonight really seem to fit together, as well, really all the precepts do. But when I first started reading the precepts, I thought, oh, this would be a hard one to comment on because it's so vast. I mean, and your talk tonight was great, Lucy, but actually it's like the crescendo, like here it is back at you. And I appreciate what you shared.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's just the coolest thing that we're encouraged to um, find our own practice. It's really the opposite of being in a cult. I mean, and ordinary beings and sages too. Just because somebody maybe is charismatic or dresses cool, you can't assume that that person is a sage. I think that sets it apart from a lot of other faith traditions. I don't know about all of them, but many.
Strictly speaking, Buddhism isn't a faith tradition because you're not required to take anything on faith.
Thanks, Uji, for the relative and absolute fits in other places of what I was reading this evening.
Yeah, keeping in mind or yeah, just keeping that sense of absolute and relative is for me, that is a really good way to practice. To as the interplay as I experience my day. Working out in the garden today, a lot of relative as I am planting and fertilizing and watering, and yet much absolute, much oneness out there. And just to be able to hold those, you know, as in practice is, I find, you know, real beneficial. There we go.
Thank you, because I've been trying to make some sense out of now, not inside, not outside, of not advancing, not retreating. It's neither. That's
It's yes and.
Say again.
It is yes and.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
And you know, it's you know, and then there is emptiness. And I'll let you know if I see it.
Well, I'm a little sad that precept study's over for this year, but that's impermanence for you, I guess. I just really loved everybody's thoughts on the precepts. It never gets boring. There's always something new.
Really, I've enjoyed it a lot. And this has been a great evening, you guys. I feel like yeah, this is, you guys, lots of food for thought.
Yeah, I feel like I got some insight into this precept. I just like little cracks at it each year, because it is pretty obscure to me anyway, and it doesn't fit the same pattern as the others. So I think it makes a little more sense to me than it did. Do we have more thoughts on this? Should we wrap it up?
Can I bring up something incidental?
Of course.
Back in when we were discussing the initial parts of the precepts, we were talking about the poisons, delusion, ignorance, hatred, fear, blah. We're saying fear leads to all three. And I ran up against something that leads me to believe that hatred actually leads to ignorance. I was playing a game with my ex. We called it the broccoli game, named after something you hate. Think of something you hate, like broccoli, and then name non-negative things about it. Now that sounds really easy. I have yet to find anyone who tried it on who did not need to stop and go opening and closing their mouth trying to think of anything because their minds had been so totally overwritten by negative thoughts that they literally could not think of anything to start off with that was not negative. I never did get a chance to play the advanced version. Actually, I had to say 5 positive things about something you hated, because the non-negative version was so difficult. Food for thought.
That's interesting. Did you make that game up?
Yes. Something to pass the time on car rides.
That reminds me, I should have made this announcement, but I just want you guys to know that that Dixie's lovely talk that just got your, your internet connection wasn't up to it, and so we missed a lot of it. But Dixie sent me a really nice written uh, bit about her talk, and so I'll be putting it. I'll put a link to that in with the other student talks and Dharma talks on the website. So um, we can put the link to that in the newsletter or something. Just because it was very lovely, well done. And we were sorry we couldn't hear you. Would somebody like any other final thoughts? Does someone want to do the closing verse?
I'll take a shot at it.
Thank you.
I'm not sure which one we use, but how about let's try this. Abiding in the ephemeral world like a lotus in muddy water, the mind is pure and goes beyond. Thus we bow to Buddha.
Hey.